Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to another edition of Your Mama's Wildlands. If this COVID-19 has done nothing else, it's given me a little bit of time to think about what I want to put on video and actually do it. So usually work gets in the way, but I've been home for about the last week. Today's video is about pine resin salve. Now I have done a fat wood video and I sort of espouse the benefits of pine tar or pine resin or both. So today we're going to look at how to make a beneficial salve. Now there's 118 different ways of doing this. Go on the internet. Some have different ratios, some have additional essential oils. So this is basic what I'm doing. Pine resin salve is good for cuts, inflammation. Big one that's mentioned is it helps remove splinters. So that's sort of what we're doing. I'm making this in preparation for my shack build, trapper shack build that's coming up in about a week and a half. So yeah, it's going to be my first aid kit. If I have extra, which it looks like I will, I'll probably be around the house. Supposed to be real good for cracked skin, for dry cracked skin. I've read that it's good for all sorts of skin conditions. So without further ado, we're going to start working on this. I am using all natural ingredients. 3 ingredients. I have pine resin. As mentioned in my other video, I cut down the neighbor's pine tree and it was full of resin and I processed it. And really the process was I heated everything up in a pan until it was all liquefied. I got some cheesecloth, put it over this mason jar, poured it through, and there you have it. Yeah, the smell from it was just wonderful. So we're going to work on that. So 3 natural ingredients. I have the pine resin, and if you're out in the bush, it's almost everywhere. I have natural beeswax. So this is a little bit refined beeswax. I got it off of one of the local beekeepers. And really any wax will do. The more natural, the better it is for you. That's all. And I have coconut oil. So, and a lot of people use olive oil, grapeseed oil. You're going to need some kind of oil to soften it. So, and your ratios will depend on how hard or soft it is. Yeah. So if you want it harder, add more wax. If you want it softer, add more oil. So, and my ratios are 1:1 for the weight-wise, for the wax and the pine resin, and half of that for the coconut oil. So more or less what I'm going to do is sort of do a double boiler. I'll set myself up. I have a kettle in here. I'm going to start the water to boil. I'm going to pour it in the pan. I have my little stove. Don't have much gas left, and that's why I'm using the kettle. So without further ado, let's get cracking. The only thing other that you're going to need is a pair of gloves to handle the hot glass. Yeah, that's it. And I will pre-warm the glass and everything before I pour it in. I have got myself a baby food jar So it's cold in the shop today, so I'll probably try to warm it up a bit before I pour anything in there. I don't want it to shock and crack on me. If I have anything left, I picked up an old film canister. So I think my ratio is right now 35 grams of pine resin. Now, once you process your pine resin, it dries out, and more or less I had to take a knife and a hammer and chisel some out, which worked out nice because it sort of powdered the whole thing. So I have 35 grams of the pine resin, I have 35 grams of the beeswax, and I have 17 and a half grams of coconut oil. So as soon as this kettle boils, I'll be back. Okay, the kettle is starting to boil. So what I need now is to find one of my mini lighters. And you can see, double boiler. I have put a piece of aluminum in the pot just to get the glass bowl a little bit higher. So let's see what I can do here. That's on low. That's on. And again, just boil the water to help speed stuff up. Alright. People have certain orders in which they put stuff in. I like to have the stuff which easily turns into liquid first. So that would be the coconut oil. That'll soften right up right quick. So I'm just going to put a little bit more water in so that the bowl heats up a little bit faster. So let's see if I can move this over without spilling anything, and that way you guys can see what's happening too. There we go. So it's starting to melt. Next thing, I will start adding in beeswax. Now usually the beeswax, people say grate it or put it into small pieces, but I think this pure stuff should melt pretty fast. So and I'm going to put the resin in last just because it's the stickiest and it's the part that's going to see, I already have to just a really slow rolling boil. And you may have to turn off the depending what you're using. And I just did, yeah. Alright, that's fine. I'll just melt this stuff in. A lot of people say you need a stick, a wooden stick. They use some kind of a bamboo skewer or anything. So, yeah, just start warming this stuff up. Like I said, it's very cold in the shed. So it looks like I need to turn this guy on again. There we go. Get that boiling again. Now I'm just going to use a screwdriver because I'm an electrician. That's what I have in my shop. That looks like a nice boil now. By the way, folks, this is my first time actually trying this. I've had all the ingredients Always meant to do it, never had the time. But like I said, with this COVID stuff, I actually have time to experiment and screw around. So, yep, wax is starting to soften up. You can do this straight over the stove, but there's always the danger that it will catch on fire. So you have to be somewhat careful. Pine resin, that's where they get turpentine from. So you have to be careful. It is flammable. And like I said in my wet wood, my fat wood video, it is very flammable. And I think for the most part, any little bits and pieces will settle to the bottom. There we go, the screwdriver's starting to come out clean. I should grab I have an old rag here because I don't want anything spilled on my block of wood. That is. Yeah, I think that's about it. Alright, glove time. I'm just going to hold this in the steam, warm it up. Again, I don't want to shock the glass. Once it's getting to the point where it's getting too warm to touch, I'll start pouring the salve. It smells gorgeous in here, that's all I can say. Guys, really, it's so simple and so beneficial. Like I said, you can even do it outdoors. I know, I believe it's Dave Canterbury. He's got a video on this where he does it all in the bush. And his mixture's just wax and the resin. So, alright, that's pretty warm now. Hopefully this thing won't crack. Just pouring a little to warm it up. Wonderful. Alright, I am going to let this sit, and then I will bring you guys back to actually try it out. Talk to you in a bit. Okay folks, it's been about 15 minutes. I put this outside. It's about 4 degrees out, so it hardened up. Don't know whether you can see. There we go. So it cooled off quite nicely. This is meant for scratches and little cuts, mosquito bites. So it is quite thick and sticky. See if we can get a nice shot in there. But that's still soft in the middle. So you can see It rubs in quite nicely, but like I said, it's somewhat sticky, which is a good thing because it'll stay on your cut. It's also good for really hard skin, dry skin. So I think next time what I will do is I will put in a little bit more of the oil, or the coconut oil. But smells gorgeous. Like I said, it's sticky for the first 5-10 minutes. I think eventually it gets absorbed into your skin. It's not that bad anymore. Yeah, not bad for first time. Anyway, thank you for watching another video from Your Mama's Wildlands. If you like what you saw, don't be afraid to comment, hit the like, and subscribe to my channel. I keep saying this, and I honestly mean it, that as soon as we start going up north more, there'll be more interesting videos to come. Because we plan on doing a lot of bushwhacking and more or less living off the land for a bit here and there. As I mentioned before, we have 1,500 acres at our disposal of Crown land. So we'll have to wait to access that, but once we are in, it should be fun. I don't know whether you can see it. Let's see if I can get the light right, but a lot of the finer stuff has settled to the bottom, so that answers another question. Alright folks, be safe, stay safe,